Alright, let's finish this up so that you can at least get an hour's worth of lab in today. So the last application that's in here starts on page 192, and it's four pages. There are only 4 pages left in the chapter. But if you look up on the screen here, this is what I want you to see as far as what's different in it. It looks a lot like the other one. I'll admit that. It's called register table, where the other one was not. So, come on. Look at the difference. Comment thing in here, but the big thing, notice? See how it, see this? Yeah. Now, what you'll hear this called in other languages, that's called a validation summary. So it's showing you every place that was invalid. So notice if I come back in here and I just put in my rank and email address and I click it again, see how that one went away and it changed to something valid? Phone, accept this, boom. Now it's just the country. See that? So you can really tell that there is validation being put on this. So they call it the register application with a table. All right. But again, take a look at what's in here. What I want you to start getting in your heads is that when you start to put in this kind of stuff, it's really imperative that whatever it is that you're setting up like this, either it has an ID, or it has a class, or it has both. All right? So you'll notice this H2 has an ID of registration header. All right? The table has an ID of registration info. All right? So the author says here, when the user clicks the register button, the app shows the table below, and it has both all of the valid entries in it and all of the invalid entries in it. Does it make sense to you? Please look at this. That if I click register, if any of this is red, it won't actually submit the form someplace. Does that make sense? All right. And if I click reset at any time, this will be blank, this will be blank, this will go to select a country. This they've set up here. Does that make sense? And the table will go away. Does all that make sense? All right. It says, besides the 2 elements shown that have been added to the HTML, the spans have been removed because the asterisks and error messages aren't displayed to the right, they're displayed down below. Does that make sense? All right. So it says in the CSS selector, the color has been set to red. All right, so this is my question for you. Look on the screen, please. Please. This is, I'm kind of giving you your test next week. All right. Let's say that this is next week. All right. And I don't know. I don't even know if I would put a country in there. That'd be kind of stupid. But let's say that I asked for let's say it's your BMI. And now I'm not asking you just for a height and a weight. I'm asking you for a first name and a last name. They can't be blank. And let's say we put in here an email, which can't be blank, all right, etc. And I say rather than putting the errors, maybe I'll have you write it 2 ways. One where you put the errors over here, and one where you put the errors down here. So you'd have the same logic, exactly, except in one case the errors would go to the right, in the other case they would go below. Does that all make sense? You think you'd be able to do that? I've given you working copies now of that one. And I even told you where you can get some extra points. All right, because that's probably at least somewhat what I'm looking at right now for what your test is going to be.
Is the hands-on for Chapter 06?
Yes. But I may ask you to come in here instead of doing this or putting in. I might also ask, take the field that's any field that's bad and make the background color pink. See what I'm saying? Well, how do I do that? You'd have to look that up. But it's not hard to do. And you would also have to show me that you could do that. Look on the screen, please, on page 195. Last page of the chapter. You'd have to be able to write code like this. And this is one of those things where you ever with a friend or somebody, when they tell you to do something, you kind of look at them funny and they go, just trust me. All right? What I'm saying is, this might not totally make sense to you right now, but just trust me. All right? Because it will later on. Does that make sense? Or maybe I will have you, for one of the programs, rather than doing the same one twice, I don't know, maybe this one will be the BMI. And doing it the other way with the errors over here, I might have you do that where you actually enter a number. Instead of generating one like we did and having odd or even, something like that. But I'm letting you know what's going to be on your next test. All right? Now, that's it. Two more things. First, let's go back to here and here. Notice for Chapter 6, 3 assignments. See this? 3 assignments. First one, develop a temperature converter. In this exercise, you'll use radio buttons, and that will show you, are you going from Celsius to Fahrenheit or Fahrenheit to Celsius? Look on the screen. Please look on the screen. Notice we're going from Fahrenheit to Celsius. See that? So why that one grays out? Because we only want to allow you to input into that one. If we reverse it, then the other one grays out. See that?
It kind of reminds me of like Google Translate.
There's a lot of things this could remind you of. There's a lot of things that work like this. But you're getting more sophisticated now, because by putting in something like this, what is that? That's just setting that to disabled, right? It's not like that's a lot of work to do that. So, open the file. Note that the JavaScript has some starting code, like putting in the alias for you, a clear text boxes function, etc. So you will code this. It's not a lot of code. So that's the first one. Next. So that is still the first one. Come on, this isn't going forward. All right, we'll do it this way. There we go. The next one, the test score array. All right, so notice what we're doing here. Please look up on the screen. What you're doing is you're putting in, so I come in here, it's Mary. Mary got 100. You click add to array. What does that do? It adds Mary's name down here. It's not showing it, but it would add it down here. All right? Displaying the results will show you everybody's results. Display the scores will show the scores, etc. Again, you will have some of the code already written for you in here. The third one, modify that FAQ application. You've got the entire application. I gave you all the code. So what do we want to do here? When you're done, the application will work the same as before, except that only one answer will be displayed at a time. In other words, when you click on one heading, the others must be hidden. So if you click on this one, you can hide, however you want to do it, it'll tell you in here. I will tell you, this is my opinion. You may not agree. But if you do these three, we'll probably have our test next Tuesday. If between Friday, today, and Monday, you do these three and you can get them done, you should have no problem with a test. All right, I already told you pretty much what the test is going to be. So if you want, you could really think about this. You could always copy that, couldn't you? And just make changes to it? All right. All right, so let's see.